I presume you're here in order to learn of Magecraft. I'll have you know, there's no room for the weak-willed in this course, and despite your best efforts, the sorcery of our time is but a fraction of what it once was in the Age of Gods. Much of the craft is established through pedigree, and the culture of mages is riddled with deception and moral depravity. That said, if you insist, I shall do my best to educate you in this miserable, yet fascinating world. After dipping our feet into some regional Magecraft, the Celtic runes, I'd like to take a step back and once again look at the big picture. While Magecraft is certainly not exclusive to any one region, the most prevalent gathering of mages can be found within the Mages Association. Most any mage seeking notoriety or prestige will either be part of or in close contact with the association. Thus, for today's lesson, I will be providing an overview of this organization and its influence on the world. Magecraft as we know it today is secretive, spoken of and demonstrated only to those within the community. This wasn't always the case. Magecraft was openly used and practiced during the Age of Gods and up until the Middle Ages. Around this time, certain mages began to feel that concealing their craft from the public eye would ensure longevity for the practice. These mages formed what is now known as the Mages Association, an organization dedicated to preserving Magecraft from the shadows of society. To that end, they create and enforce regulations to control and contain thaumaturgical research. Granted, this effort is a selfish one. The association cracks down on criminal activity involving Magecraft, but not out of goodwill or a desire to protect commoners. Rather, the association does so only to prevent revealing their craft. Thus, they care not for the nightmarish crimes mages commit, so long as they do not draw suspicion from authorities. While certainly the most active body of mages, the association does have a limited reach. The Middle East and Asian philosophies of Magecraft are not affiliated, and even conflict with the association at times, which is a shame given the various laboratories and research institutions the association makes use of that certain regions are denied access to. Perhaps this is for the best. While the association provides education to applicable candidates, the motive for doing so is again self-centered. It's a quid pro quo scenario, really. Mages will only reveal their own findings if they have something to gain in the process. One collective burden the association handles is the relationship between Magecraft and the Holy Church, which considers the practice taboo and blasphemous. Both combat and mediation are essential to ensure mages have a place free from the Church's restrictions. The Mages Association has 3 distinct branches, which have drifted apart with the passage of time. These are the Clock Tower, the Atlas Academy, and the Wandering Sea, with the former serving as the association's official headquarters. While the concealment of Magecraft became prevalent in the Middle Ages, the Clock Tower's formation dates back to before the death of Christ. Today, it can be found in London's British Museum, looking innocuous with its brick and stone 12th century design. Beyond this, however, the Clock Tower is anything but. As gods and phantasmal beasts fled the world to its reverse side with the dawn of the Age of Man, there was a dragon the size of a mountain known as Albion. Albion did not start his journey until after the other gods had already departed. In an attempt to dig his way to the reverse side of the world, Albion died, and the Clock Tower was built atop his corpse. One of its deeper floors, the Spirit Tomb Albion, is a perfect den for obtaining supplies and keeping magical beasts. Even deeper is the Callian Observatory, the tower's oldest classroom where ceiling designations are debated. It's not just the tower itself I'm referring to either. There are many affiliated buildings strewn throughout the city, such as the Norwich Student Dormitory and 40 other dorms, research buildings, and business districts that tend to the tower's mages. Despite this near-pristine image, the Clock Tower is a place of conflict, with mages caught in political power struggles between factions and departments. At the top of this pecking order are 3 main factions, each consisting of one of the most esteemed mage families, the Bartholomew, Trambelio, and Meluastia. Below them are the Lords, mages who hold great influence in the association by heading up the clock tower's various departments. Between the lords and their dominating factions is an elitist culture that discriminates based on political influence. An example of this would be Asian mages. Not only are Asian mage philosophies looked down upon by the elite, but mages from Asia also struggle to thrive in such a European-dominated institution. This is unfortunate, given that some of the tower's most skilled mages happen to be from Japan. The Tosaka family alone is able to thrive simply from royalties earned on patented magic inventions. Thankfully, while reputable families can make it into the clock tower on recommendation alone, new members can still be admitted after taking a series of exams. The more merit attributed to a given candidate, the more freedoms they benefit from, such as being able to bring along apprentices tuition-free. Even discrimination cannot eliminate sheer talent. Currently, the clock tower has 12 lords, which divide the institution into 12 main departments of study. What you are learning in this course could be considered part of general fundamentals, the faculty of the Mistel family, which most mages first invest 5 years of study toward before moving on to a more specialized department. Those who continue their study of fundamentals move on to individual fundamentals, the faculty of Solanea. Spiritual evocation, the faculty of the Euliphus, studies the magecraft of summoning spiritual beings. Its head is the Nuada Re Sofitia Re family, more specifically Solau's father. This department has had much success, affiliated with King Solomon's ability to summon demons. Then there's mineralogy, the faculty of Kishir, which studies the properties of mineral substances. It is fittingly named after Kishir Zelrech Schweinorg and his work with crystals and jewels. Separate from spiritual beings, there is a department for zoology, the faculty of Chimera, which studies the magecraft of organic life. The anthropology, or lore department, is designated as the faculty of Brishasun. They're quite specialized, studying relics not from our world. While this is the smallest department, their findings can affect our understanding of the universe itself. Botany, the faculty of Eumina, is a department dedicated exclusively to witchcraft. More recognizable is the department of celestial bodies for being the faculty of Animisphere. As the name implies, this department studies the stars and planets, encompassing both astronomy and astrology. It is unsurprising that the Animisphere family are the ones to establish the Chaldea Security Organization, a facility that observes the Earth's future. The Creation Department, the faculty of Value, on the other hand, is more obscure. It uses magecraft to create items both sentient and inanimate. They pursue the creation of what they deem the most beautiful person with an artistic ambition. The Department of Curse, the faculty of Jigmarie, obviously studies magical spells that enchant or otherwise ail their victims. Archaeology, the faculty of Astaire, is a department dedicated to universal research, broadly looking into history. Also called Rock's Road, these mages keep themselves outside of clock tower drama, focusing solely on academia. The youngest department in the clock tower is Modern Magecraft Theories, the faculty of Norwick. This department looks into compiling magecraft of past centuries into a more general practice that is more accessible and efficient for new generations of mages. It was headed by the Elmaloy family, but their successor Rhinus is too young to take over after the death of Cainith Elmaloy Archibald. Thus, the lordship is occupied by Waver Velvet, who serves as a temporary stand-in as Elmaloy II. While these are the 12 departments, there is actually a 13th that isn't formally included. Policies is a department more concerned with politics and social studies than actual mysticism. Now, these are areas of study and have no bearing on the individual merits of a given mage. For that, the clock tower has a ranking system. Newcomers and youth begin with the title of Count or Frame, referring to the eldest or youngest child of a generation of siblings. These are mostly a placeholder until mages are able to properly stand as the heads of their families. The cause rank refers to open mages who have the base qualifications to competently study magecraft. Their potential has yet to be shown. Some mages mature without displaying any outstanding capabilities, such as Waver Velvet in his adulthood. Mages like him are considered Fez, or Festival ranked. Moving upward, we have the rank of Pride or Law for mages who demonstrate considerable talent. The most talented mages are typically ranked Brand or Color. That said, there is an even higher rank, Grand or Crown, which has rarely been given out over the entire history of the Clock Tower. Toko Aozaki managed to reach this rank at the age of 20, which made the Aozaki family's decision to endorse Aoko as the family head all the more devastating. Lastly, mages valued by the association are identified by both rank and color. Their individual abilities are ranked from red, blue, yellow, purple, green, and black, respectively. Thus far, we've spoken of how the association propagates Magecraft through education and research, but it's important to address the lengths the association will go to in order to preserve itself and the secrecy of its practices. In the Clock Tower's depths is the Kallian Observatory, where the Secret Judgment Division monitors mages of great interest to the association. These may be mages who are so talented or unique the association wishes to claim ownership of them, or mages who use their talents recklessly and expose their pursuits publicly. Said mages are given sealing designations, which are seen as both honorable and incriminating. Honorable in the sense that a mage is worthy of attention, but detrimental in that those who are designated are heavily restricted. They are essentially left with two choices: to become hermits, practicing their craft under association supervision, or to persist at the risk of being killed by enforcers. The association employs 30 enforcers, who train in assassinating mages. They dedicate their lives to this pursuit, even though actual sealing designations are so rare that any given enforcer may be assigned just one per decade. They suffer perhaps the worst discrimination in the Clock Tower, being looked down on by the elite despite serving to protect their way of life. The association also puts out its bounties to freelance assassins, which force the enforcers to compete with the likes of Natalia Kaminsky and Kiritsugu Emiya to earn a living. Those who succeed in this field tend to develop a thick skin and detachment to others. The Clock Tower plays host to a special holding area called the Bottom of the Bridge, where the most dangerous mages are imprisoned, the most iconic of whom is Gazami the Wraith, a mage whose attribute is vaguely considered to be the most troublesome ever recorded. Of course, the Clock Tower has its pros and cons. Despite the hassle, most mages still join the association for its provided resources and knowledge. In exchange, they have to deal with a frustrating network of factions and lords, all vying for the association's power and budget. Could the association use more harmony, or is this cutthroat environment ideal for pushing thaumaturgical research to its fullest? Sadly, this remains untested, and unlikely to change regardless. With the abundance of material still left to cover, I'm afraid it is best to divide this topic into separate lectures. After all, while the Clock Tower is the largest, most complex branch of the association, we also need to devote ourselves to the other, more mysterious branches, Atlas and the Wandering Sea. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and most of all, smashing that notification bell as if it were your waifu. That way you'll never miss out on all of my anime content, lore videos, live streams, and Holy Waifu Wars polls. My vids are struggling to get featured, so that bell is absolutely critical. If you want to support me directly, check out my Patreon, or consider donating via Super Chat. And as always, celebrate your fandom.